a quick rub again. And
why do we use a tumble dry sheet?
It will help the tool glide easier on the parchment.
Okay.
It just make it smoother. So if you feel it's scratchy, give it another rub with your tumble dry sheet. So for example, let's start with a circle and then I'll show you the teardrops here. So I'm using the number 3 and 4 tool now. So this circle is the biggest circle I can oh no, let's have an even bigger circle here because it's easier to show on bigger circles. When we're embossing circles for line art, we never go in a circle. We always go up and down and across. If we start off with, for example, round and round, like a teddy bear, round and round, we end up with a black hole in the middle, which is what we don't really want. So we always go up and down. Every time I say round and round, I think of the nursery rhyme, so it just automatically comes out of my mouth. Sorry, but it does. I think about the kids. Yeah, round and round in a circle, like a teddy bear.
Round and round the garden like a teddy bear.
Round and round a garden. See, I still
like
get
a teddy,
that.
No, like a teddy
garden,
bear wants a two-step.
Yeah, I just replaced the garden with the circle. But every time I say round and round, it immediately hits that. So we go up and down like that. So with white work, one of the main things we have to remember is let the parchment rest between layers. So by the time you've done one layer all the way around, you would be ready to put another layer. If we emboss too hard, like press really hard to get the white instantly, what happens is the parchment sort of starts buckling and collapsing. So it's better to, give it a rest and let it bounce back.
Okay.
So we just do that.
And how many times, I suppose it's a random question, but how many times would you say we'd have to go round to make it stand out as white work?
So for example, on circles, for me personally, I go around 4 times.
Okay.
So for example, I'll do it once this way, go all the way, everything I'm embossing this way. I'll turn it round, do this way, turn it round, do this way, but that's me. You can do it twice. So the smaller the element, you probably, so for example, these ones, you will go down, they're tiny, to a smaller tool. So I'm using the number 2 tool, and just by pressing in the middle, but again, I'm going up and down, I'm not going. And then if I turn that round this way, 2 times is enough because it's small enough. So depending on the size that you're embossing, you need more layers. So the larger the size, you need 5, 6, 7 layers. For these circles, I would be happy with 4. Regarding the teardrops, again, I'm going to use, I'm going to start with the number 3 tool because they're tinier, and I'm just going to emboss in there. So this is layer 1. I would let it rest and come back to it later and put another layer. I am going to press a little bit harder to show you how white it can get, but don't do that at home, please.
So would you say, like, do all your circles, do your flowers, and that's the only bit you want to do, because then go back to your circles?
Do your first layer all the way around, and then come back to it to put your second layer. But if you have larger elements to emboss, then, let it rest a bit longer than, maybe an hour or so. Like, for example, when Linda does embossing, there's so many projects where she lets it rest for literally a whole day and comes back to it the next day. And, when you do let it rest, you will see a difference in your embossing.
Good to know these little tips.
So
maybe have 2 or 3 projects on the go at the same time.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're going to do a lot of embossing, it's definitely worth having a few projects. So if I turn it round, so here is where I've put a few more layers, and here is, I haven't put as many layers, so it still needs work. Here I've started putting my 3rd layer, these 2, but not there. So it's a gradual process. So, while I'm doing the embossing, I can have another project on the go that I'm doing.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I would do all the embossing on all of that, and then do the coloring. So let me show you some coloring.
Of course we can. Yeah. Over half the stock of the Christmas ones now have already gone. Over half the stock of Christmas now has already gone. £22.